I was born November 23rd, 1944, and by the time I was 3, 4, and 5 in the age bracket, I started to notice that all of our food, with the exception of meats, came via delivery up our back alley, and in just about all the cases, these products were brought by horse and carriage. It became quite an exciting time for a young person of my age to see horses coming up the back alley, and for these men to be bringing different products to the house. Bread man from McGavin's, he had a horse and buggy, and he had bread at 10 cents a loaf that was delivered, not sliced. That came much later. The coal man, he fed our coal-fired furnace for the home for heat, and the thing I remembered most strikingly about him was that he was soot black. His face, his arms, everything was soot black, and he always wore black things. Like he had a black leather outfit that he would swing up what was a sack of coal, which must have weighed, I don't know, maybe 80, 90 pounds, onto a leather shoulder harness that he had, and he'd bring that through the back gate up to an opening in the house, where he would draw down a door, not a very big door, but a door big enough to put this sack of coal in, and drop it down the chute into a box that was right near the coal-fired furnace. The Iceman, and the Iceman came because we didn't have an electric fridge like there is today. It was an ice box, and the ice box held a chunk of ice that was purposely designed for ice boxes. And the Iceman, he also had a leather shoulder piece that he had tongs, and he'd go into the back of the wagon, the horse-drawn wagon, that was filled with sawdust, and ice was hiding underneath all that sawdust to keep it from melting. And he would take his tongs and dig it into the side of this big ice block and whip it up onto his shoulder, and he too would come into the backyard, up the back stairs, and put it in the ice box that was at the top of the landing on the stairs. A Chinese gentleman, his name was Lum. He was very tall. I remember him being very, very tall, and he also used the front of the house, and he would come down in his Model A pickup truck, and the pickup truck had sides on it where the vegetables that he had, he came from Southwest Marine in Vancouver, and he would bring, there were vegetable gardens all along the south side of Marine, and usually, I believe, run by Chinese vegetable garden people, and he would have flats of different types of vegetables on 2 levels in the back of that pickup truck, so that the lady of the household would be able to come out front and pick out which vegetables she needed for that evening's dinner, or if it was longer, then it would last for the week. But he'd be around every week, and His name was Lum, and the thing I remembered about Lum was that in order to distract me from all the things that were going on with his truck and being out in the street, he always had a chocolate bar for me. And I remember that distinctly. It was a Cadbury's chocolate bar. So I'd be busy with the chocolate bar, and Mom would be busy picking out her vegetables without having to worry about what I was up to. I was always out to the front when Lum came along because I'm thinking about the chocolate bar. And so she would be coming out of the house when Lum would be talking to me, towering over me. And he was soft-spoken. I just remember him being a very gentle giant. He was more formal. He had a hat, a fedora hat that he always wore. It was brown. He had large boots, farm boots, I guess they would be. Oh, yes, and he had coveralls. That's what he had. The ragman. Now, the ragman, he didn't come up the alley. He used West 20th. I lived in the 2700 block of West 20th in Vancouver, and he would come up on the main macadam paved road. It wasn't what you would see nowadays as a concrete or a blacktop. It was what they called a macadam road, which was gravel and tar, and he would be yelling at the top of his lungs, "Rags! I need your rags here, ladies, rags here!" And the women of the household that had any rags that they wanted to get rid of would go out and toss them into the back of this wagon that he had. What I remember distinctly about that time was the fact that they were, with the exception of Lum, they were all European men that did the deliveries. I believe the ragman, from his accent, Mom said he was Italian. They couldn't dilly-dally around too much. They had a lot of deliveries to make. So even though there was a little tyke following them up to the back stairs, they didn't have a lot of time to chit-chat about what was going on. He did introduce me from time to time to their horse, and if they had sugar on them, a cube of sugar, or they had some vegetables that they had, usually carrots, they would allow me to feed the horse carrot if they had time to be able to do that. If this was the carrot, they'd say you want your fingers down at the far end of the carrot, and you want to just put it up to the lip of the horse so that they know how to eat the carrot. And if it was a sugar cube, that was a whole different thing, because the sugar cube would be in a little kid's palm here, and he would say, first of all, you hold your fist up so that the horse knows that there's a sugar cube in there. He's not going to bite your hand, and then you slowly, as he looks at it, you open your hand and he'll lick it off without hurting you. And of course, they were always right next to holding the horse by the bridle, so nothing was going to happen. Well, I do actually see delivery trucks now bringing vegetables up to the Sunshine Coast from Vancouver. I believe it's called Spud, if I'm not mistaken. And so what goes around comes around.